I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.
Breaking news, the very latest on that Middle East crisis between Iran and Israel. Donald Trump has just posted on social media. There it is on your screen. We now have complete and total control of the skies over Iran. Iran had good sky trackers and other defensive equipment, and plenty of it, but it doesn't compare to American-made, conceived and manufactured stuff. Nobody does it better than good old USA, he concludes in that post. Let's speak to our diplomatic correspondent, James Landale. He's there at the G7 gathering and also...
What the fuck is Trump talking to? Definitely not these. The MAGA. Voted for him. Stop the war. Not fucking fight tooth and nail against. Just to do military industrial complex already planned out. What did we do? Just that's it? Taking over the skies of Iran. Trump, who gives a fuck? We did not ask you to take over the skies of Iran. You did not run on a desire to take over the skies anywhere. You were only ran eyes above our fucking southern. Why are you involved in a that literally who is his base now? Who is this a flex to? We are not impressed. I don't give a fuck that you know. Okay, Mr. CIA, I know where the leader of Iran is. The sovereign country. It's none of your fucking business where he is. It's none of our business. We don't care. We did not ask for this. We asked for you to protect. Pull us out of the war in the Ukraine. Not to replace the war. Fucking war in Iran. Not sign up for this. We did not support you for this. If you would have told us in the beginning you were planning on bombing or going to Iran in the first few months, even after we found Israelis secrets to them, to manipulate Trump behind us. And then it seems like, bro, I'm reading his. This has to be AI. But the entire, really him apparently saying, I know where the leader is. Nobody gives a fuck. If Iran, what the fuck does that have to do with of eggs in California, gas in New York, with high costs on Medicaid and Medicaid, fucking border crisis where illegal California, Washington State, literally entire states in our fucking Iran. That's literally no threat to us. That literally. What the fuck are you doing? Why are you doing this? So, because of the Bible and blah, blah, bro, if there's anything Zionist that lives in the United States, of Zionism, there. Sign up your children. Not bring us. We are a sovereign, separate. We are a nation of law. We are a nation of law. Iran is defending itself. Why are you putting yourself in a field where they might accidentally hit you? Iran is not Iraq. Shock and awe. Americans are going to die. We're going to. The only one that's going to have. If it wasn't for what happened on October, he would be in jail. Wars going to. Now we're going from a genocide strikes against Iran. It's a city. Yesterday, they need to. Why should they have to evacuate? Why are you going over there? Why is America involved? What the fuck does this have? This is a betrayal to the MAGA movement. Spit in the face of America first. We have to get our own house. Unless you want to see our burn, well, then in that.
Our North America correspondent, Nomia Iqbal, she's there live for us at the White House. So, Nomia, let me start with you and that post. And it is the first word of that post that is getting a lot of attention. He says, we now have complete and total control of the skies. It underlines how intertwined the US and Israel are on this.
Weaponry. Everyone said, "Oh, you're." I said Israel has control over our where we attack also arsenal. World Economic Forum trying to get Israel, they can take control over our. I did not know I was wrong. We are that gullible. My favorite has a lot of more Israel first than America. You don't live nowhere near Israel. Why do you dream about Israel? These are the most things I've ever heard of. Starts to spill over. Lives were now it affects in our military. It affects us with our military. It affects us with our troops. It affects us fighting. It's too much.
It does, but it doesn't give any more clarity on what President Trump plans to do next. What he's doing there is flexing US might, but does this now mean that the US is going to get all out involved with Israel and strike, or is it a scare tactic to try and get Iran around the negotiating table? Now, we don't even know if that is still something that they are planning for. We know that there were meant to be the sixth round of talks between Iran and the US when it comes to nuclear on Sunday. That's now been stopped, but there are some suggestions that President Trump would still want Steve Witkoff, his Middle East envoy, and the Vice President J.D. Vance to be involved in those talks. And speaking of the Vice President, J.D. Vance, he's put out a very long post on X in which he has outlined the concerns that the Trump administration has, but he's also referred to, just if I can just pick out the bit that he says, of course, people are right to be worried about foreign entanglement after the last 25 years of idiotic foreign policy. And that's obviously speaking or appealing to the base that voted for Trump and millions of others on his No Wars platform. But what does this mean going forward? I don't think we're any clearer on what the US plans to do next when it comes to what's happening in Iran.
Let's cross to the G7 and to James. And of course, Donald Trump left that gathering early. In terms of all of those other issues that the gathering wanted to discuss, whether it was tariffs and trade, whether it was the Middle East directly with Donald Trump or President Zelensky on Ukraine, give me a sense of the mood where you are.
Well, this is like a birthday party where the birthday party boy has gone home. Donald Trump turned 79 at the weekend, and there are a lot of leaders here, all dressed up, nowhere to go. If you think about it, on the second day of a summit like this, you get all the guests, the non-G7 leaders who've come, the leaders of India, Brazil, South Korea, and elsewhere, have all come here to have conversations, not just with each other and other world leaders, but with Donald Trump. And you mentioned President Zelensky. He, of course, is the central one of that, because these events matter, these summits, because they are a chance for world leaders to sit down face to face with Donald Trump, to actually shape some of his thinking, to actually have a conversation that can get things into his head that doesn't have to go through other advisors and mediators. And they were all hoping not just to shape some of his thinking on Iran, but also his thinking on Ukraine, and specifically to try and put more pressure on Russia. And although the Canadians and the Europeans and others are announcing some more sanctions today, and there will be conversations with...
I want to hear more about what JD Vance is saying about this. Let's go to X and see if we can find something. JD Vance. JD Vance on Iran today. Let's go. Nick Fuentes dismantles JD Vance in scathing rebuke over wanting to bomb Iran. Vance says the new Trump doctrine should be to punch Iran hard. Why? War with Iran would benefit Israel, the Pentagon, the CIA, and major contractors like Palantir. Run by Vance's mentor, Peter Thiel. Fuentes explains Vance wants an off-ramp in Ukraine due to a projected shortage of armaments that will be needed to replenish fucking Israel.
Brave men and women who are serving. But we've got a lot of hotspots in the world. Yes. They've been very outspoken on the issue of Ukraine. Yep. Hundreds of billions of dollars in Joe Biden. And then I would argue that Joe Biden surrendered in the war on terrorism with Hamas by not supporting Israel further and their offensive moves after the worst terror attack in their history. Let's get your overall view. Let's look at these hotspots: Ukraine, Iran, the war in the Middle East.
Yeah. So first of all, Sean, I served in the United States Marine Corps for 4 years. One of the things I'm proudest of, the most important part, I think, of the Trump doctrine and foreign policy is you don't commit America's troops unless you really have to. But when you do, you punch, and you punch hard. I think that's the way that you respect America's brave men and women who are serving.
You're not respecting shit. For one thing, our brave men and women do not need to be used in your nonsense against Iran to further people like Peter Thiel's new invention that they want to use called Palantir. They want to basically use these new AI methods of targeting people the same way they were doing in Gaza, where they're using an AI to pick targets. It seems like they want to set that up in Iran. But as we all know, they practice in these other countries, and eventually they implement these things here in the U.S. against Americans. So this is not an off-ramp. This is an on-ramp into a new war. Apparently, they realized they lost in the Ukraine because Russia is not a soft target. Iran's not a soft target. It's softer than Russia, unless Russia and China which are also a part of BRICS, are going to step in to protect Iran the best they can without going into a direct conflict with the United States. However, if Iran folds and falls to the US, then now the US is on the border. The US is right there putting China and Russia in checkmate. Russia and China would be foolish to allow that to happen. This is taking us into another forever war. This is the exact opposite of what we asked for. This is the exact opposite of what we voted for. JD Vance was not talking like this on the campaign trail. Neither was Trump. Neither of them had ambitions to go after Iran. If anything, it was to pull out of these foreign wars. And now they're both excited to take us back in. This is disgusting. I'm embarrassed and I'm disgusted that I supported them. No, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of good that's been done so far, but this unravels it all. The number one benefit of voting for Trump was the ending of wars. We're tired of war. We have war fatigue. We have a war going on here in the U.S. right now. We need the president's attention. We need our troops here. We don't need to be in Iran. This is a spit in the face of the movement. I don't even think there is a MAGA anymore. I mean, there can't be a MAGA. This is what the Democrats want. They want our military exhausted. They want our military depleted. They want our country defenseless. And they want our government to be overthrown and replaced with something else. They want the United States to be a different country, a democracy. They don't want us to be known. They don't want us to be a constitutional republic anymore. They want mob rule. They want communism. This is how you break down a country as strong as ours from within. You spread us too thin. This is how the Romans fell. It's happening right before our very eyes. I want to listen to what Nick Fuentes says. I just don't know how YouTube feels about him, and I don't want these videos to get flagged on YouTube. But I'm pretty sure he's saying basically the same thing that I'm saying. I just can't believe I did not see this coming.
Let me tell you, the way that we honor and respect you is number one, we never ask you to go to war unless you absolutely have to. And number two, when we do ask you to go to war, we give you the weapons and the support needed to kick the hell out of the enemy and come back home safely. And so,
JD Vance, if you want to fight Iran, you go put on a fucking uniform and you go over there and you fight them yourself. American troops have no business in Iran. Dying for Israel? You think we went through all this time, all these years, our ancestors sacrificed so that we could send troops to die for Israel? That's just as idiotic as dying for the Ukraine. It's even worse. Israel is our enemy. Trump knows that. I don't understand why he's humoring this. I don't see the benefit of any of this. Betraying us for Israel. He's actually, and JD Vance is now pushing for war. Does he not have a backbone? Does no one have a sense of, is there no stop gear? Is there no brakes? It's just go, go, go. There's nobody that's willing to be the voice of reason. Everyone's a Christian Zionist in our government. So anything Israel wants, they get, and that's including to use American lives and American weaponry to go after their enemies. Israel is at war with everyone. So that means we have to be at war with everyone. We completely lost control of our government. It seems like it, because it seems as if Benjamin Netanyahu is calling the shots. Trump's just a fly on the wall. That's a sign of weakness. That's not strength. That's an embarrassment.
With Iran, but not these weak little bombing runs. If you're going to punch the Iranians, you punch them hard, and it's going to get weeks without some money. By the way, that action, people said that it would lead to broader war. It actually brought peace and actually checked the Iranians and slowed them down a little bit. But let me just say something about this Iran issue, because maybe the most important diplomatic breakthrough of the Trump administration was the Abraham Accords. If you want to check Iran, the way to do it is to, one, withdraw all their oil money, which of course Joe Biden's been bad about, but you've also got to enable the Israelis and the Sunni Arab states to work together and actually provide a counterbalance to Iran. Joe Biden's done nothing. You have the infrastructure there, sitting there to weaken Iran, to strengthen our ally Israel. Joe Biden's done nothing with it. Donald
Turning over our American troops to Israel so that we can fight with Israel against Israel's enemy. Iran should not be one of our enemies. They are so far away from us. What they do with their oil, how they make their money, it's of no consequence to us. They are tens of thousands of miles away. They're not on our borders. They're not threatening to invade us. They couldn't if they wanted to. What they hate is that we're constantly cucking to the Zionists in Israel, to Netanyahu. They've been telling us for about 40 years that the Iranians are about 1 week away from having a nuke. Do you know how many people are in BRICS have nukes? If the Iranians wanted a nuke, they could just have a nuke delivered from China or from Russia, or they could buy one from North Korea. They're aligned with everyone. They can literally get a nuke if they wanted to. There's no need for a nuke. There's no need. For one thing, they would only need a nuke for preservation and basically to protect themselves. Protect themselves from who? Well, from the Israelis using the Americans to bomb them, remove their sovereignty, and invade their country. We were just talking about how the Russians illegally invaded the Ukraine. Then, out of the same mouth and the same tongue, we've now invaded the airspace of Iran. So it's bad when the Russians do it to the Ukrainians, but it's okay when Israel and the United States does it to Iran. It's okay when Israel and the United States does it to Syria, but we're passing judgment on the Russians about the Ukraine. Do you see how there's no consistency? A double tongue means you're a steak. A double-minded man is, you can't trust them. It seems like no matter who's in office, our country's a war machine. We will be at war forever. If Trump could not pull us out of these wars and stop the Zionists from controlling us and sending us, remember, it was Israel and Netanyahu that sent us to the war in Iran, or war in Iraq. Netanyahu sent us to assassinate and destroy Libya. What good did that do? If you look around, it was the Israelis and Netanyahu that literally goaded us into all of these wars. Even when they attacked the USS Liberty, that was to bring us into a war using a false flag. If nobody can see that these are our enemies, but these are the people that we vote to be in charge, then, and think about it, it was going to be no different with Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. No different. It would have been a little bit sooner, same outcome. Then what? So then, what are we voting for? What are we? If we're going to get the same thing no matter what from the Uniparty, then what's the point of the elections? What's the point of voting? What's the point of protesting? What's the point of? We're going to be at war forever. There is no stopping. This country doesn't believe in peace. The people in charge, they call for peace. Once they get into office, they're antithetical to peace. They see peace as a weakness. Or they were never in charge in the first place and it was all just lip service. It's not like the Iranians attacked the United States and we could actually verify it was them. This is against Israel, who attacked them first. Then Trump bragging about we're controlling their airspace. Who gives a fuck? I didn't ask you to control their airspace. We don't give a shit about the Iranian airspace. It's none of our business. They're a sovereign nation. They should have defenses to protect their airspace. Why the fuck are we over there? I haven't been this upset in a while because I'm just so disappointed and embarrassed. We should not be in these wars. And it seems like we just lost the plot and everybody's all in on it. Everyone's all in on it. We've literally just replaced Zelensky with Netanyahu. And now they're talking about, oh, we need to pull out of the war in Ukraine so that we can have more to give to Israel. Why? Oh, for a brand new unnecessary war in Iran? Mexico's on our border and Canada, not Iran. If anything, we've surrounded Iran with pointless American military bases. This is the most unhinged, dumbest, most idiotic thing I can think of doing. And this is crazy how fast this man could pivot. This is him only 2 weeks ago.
The two big issues with
2 weeks ago, he was bragging about how the talks with Iran are looking good. 2 weeks ago, the talks still looked good. You think the Israelis gave a fuck about how the talks were going? No.
Reached 10 years.
In my opinion, we have to completely detach from Israel, one way or the other. And if that means that we have to remove all of our leaders, put in new leaders that are not Israel first, then so be it. But now we have to, but if that's going to be the goal, we have to figure that out and we have to focus on it.
Ago.
Yeah. So there are a couple issues with the earlier agreement, the JCPOA,
Right.
as it's called here in the United States, and I assume in Europe. But here the two big issues with that agreement are, number one, the enforcement or the inspections regime was incredibly weak, and I don't think that it actually served the function of preventing the Iranians from getting on the pathway to a nuclear weapon. That's one thing that must be different.
You know, I remember back when Saddam Hussein cooperated with the inspectors. I remember when Muammar Gaddafi cooperated with the inspectors. Where are they at now? What's the purpose of cooperating with these inspectors? So people who have nuclear weapons send inspectors to confirm that you don't have nuclear weapons. It's like they want you at a disadvantage. And if you comply, you're dead. But if you don't comply, you're dead. You're living under the gun. You don't have a nation. You don't have sovereignty. You just have, you're just basically used to generate money for an industrial complex, and they prop up new wars every year. I mean, we went directly from Afghanistan to the Ukraine. There was no gap. And now we're going directly from the Ukraine to Iran. There's actually a list of countries that are on the chopping block. And we're literally going down that exact list. And no one's, I don't think we can get out of this. I don't think anything even matters anymore. If Trump couldn't stop the wars, nobody can.
And then second, yes, we believe that there were some elements of their nuclear program that were preserved under JCPOA that, yes, they weren't nuclear weapons. Iran doesn't have a nuclear weapon, but allowed Iran to sort of stay on this glide path towards a nuclear weapon if they flip the switch.
You know what? If Iran had a nuclear weapon, I wonder if they would be getting invaded.
Let's go. And we have to think about this not just in terms of Iran, which, again, the president has said this. We think that there is a deal here that would reintegrate Iran into the global economy, that would be really good for the Iranian people, but would result in the complete cessation of any chance that they could get a nuclear weapon. And that's what we're negotiating towards. And as the president has said, that's option A. And option B, if option A is very good for the Iranian people and even some of the folks, the leadership in Iran, option B is very bad. It's very bad for everybody, and it's not what we want, but it's better than option C, which is Iran getting a nuclear weapon. That is what is completely off the table for the American administration. No ifs, ands, or buts. Now, there are a couple of other things that are worth thinking about, because this is not just about Iran. If Iran gets a nuclear weapon, which country then next gets a nuclear weapon? And then when that country gets a nuclear weapon, which country after that? We really care not just about Iran, but about nuclear proliferation. And the president said this in an interview a few weeks ago. It's one of these things that in the maelstrom of the media, the signal and the noise, this was very much signal, but it got lost in the noise. The president hates nuclear proliferation. I hate nuclear proliferation. And I think that the president would be very open to sitting down with the Russians and the Chinese and saying, look, let's get this thing in a much better place. Let's reduce the number of nuclear weapons that are in the world writ large. That's obviously not a conversation for tomorrow. That's a conversation, God willing, for a few years from now. But there is no way you get to that conversation if you allow multiple regimes all over the world to basically enter this sprint for a nuclear weapon. And we really think that if the Iran domino falls, you're going to see nuclear proliferation all over the Middle East. That's very bad for us. It's very bad for our friends. And it's something that we don't think can happen. So without prejudging the negotiations, I will say so far so good. We've been very happy by how the Iranians have responded to some of the points that we've made. We've been very happy that some of the intermediaries and some of the folks who are in the room, the role that they've played, the Omanis in particular, have played a very positive role, and we're very grateful to that. So far, we're on the right pathway, but this is going to end somewhere. And it will end either in Iran eliminating their nuclear program, their nuclear weapons program. They can have civil nuclear power, okay? We don't mind that, but let me ask this basic question. Which regime in the world has civil nuclear power and enrichment without having a nuclear weapon? And the answer is no one. No one right now has a civil nuclear program with their entire enrichment infrastructure that can enrich to the 90+% needed to get to fissile material and a nuclear weapon. So our proposition is very simple. Yes, we don't care if people want nuclear power. We're fine with that. But you can't have the kind of enrichment program that allows you to get to a nuclear weapon, and that's where we draw the line.
Great. I think
We are not the world police. This has to end. If you don't agree, like and subscribe, share the video. Single boyfriend, WING RICO. I'll be back in 30 minutes.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.